Okay, let's talk about how to not take things so personally. This is a big problem for a lot of people, myself included. I'm still trying to figure out how to work through this. But let's break it down. So, when you're taking something personally, that means that when you had an exchange with somebody, you shared something, they gave you some feedback that didn't feel so good. You might have received it as criticism, like they're trying to single you out, tell you that there's something wrong with you, that you're not doing this correctly. It could feel like they're insulting you, like they're being offensive. And the truth is, maybe they are. But that doesn't mean that it's about you. And maybe they're not. Maybe they're just sharing some feedback that is intended to be helpful from a very objective place, and you're receiving it this way because this is how you internalize any kind of a feedback that's not, positive and supportive. So, so how do you deal with this? Well, I'll share with you a personal experience that I had recently to give you some a better idea for this. I had an exchange with somebody not long ago where he let me know how I was expressing myself wasn't how he would do it, and he encouraged me um, to not express myself so freely about a particular subject. And I didn't like that. It didn't feel good. I felt like it was my right to express myself in this setting and to share openly and with a lot of emotion because it was on a topic that I felt really strongly about that I wanted to just get off my chest. And he had a different point of view. So I left this experience feeling upset and annoyed with this person specifically. And then, it's just made it harder because the next time I saw him, I was kind of like cold and distant. And he was approaching me being very friendly because he didn't realize how I was feeling or how he communicated in this way. And I was like, just kind of not being very open, and that didn't feel so good. I want to be on good terms with people, and I want to give people the benefit of the doubt. I know that I can be sensitive. I know that I don't handle criticism very well. There's reasons for this. For one thing, I consider myself to be a highly sensitive person, or HSP. So that doesn't help, and many of us feel like we are this sensitive type, whether we like it or not. And there's also the fact that I've had a childhood that resulted in me having some insecurities around being criticized at times. So it can be easy for me to receive feedback as criticism. So ask yourself if any of this could be true for you as well, because this is true for a lot of us. We don't experience life in a vacuum. We're bringing to the table our all of our different personality traits and our baggage and our triggers, so on and so forth. It's not the easiest thing in the world to be able to see a situation exactly as it is. We see it through a lens of perception and through all these filters. And if we're not careful, if we never examine these filters, we can just spend our whole lives in self-righteous anger and frustration. And that can be very tempting, right? Because we also have to understand that the ego is always playing a big role here. The ego loves feeling self-righteous. It gets a major payoff from feeling like it is right and something or someone else is wrong. So The ego scans the environment looking for these payoffs, looking for somebody to, cut out in traffic, or looking for somebody to speak out of line or cut the line in the grocery store. And then we go, oh, you shouldn't be doing that. You're a bad person. It's funny because like emotionally it doesn't make us feel good. It can, this anger doesn't feel good in our system. But the ego doesn't care about how we feel. The ego just wants to be right. But we don't want to prioritize being right. We want to prioritize feeling happy. It's so much more important to be happy than it is to be right. I mean, is this true? Would you rather be right and angry and frustrated, or would you rather be happy and at peace? Personally, I love being right. But when I step back and think about it, it's 100% clear I'd much rather be happy and at peace. That's how I choose to live my life. This is something that I teach all of my clients who are feeling frustrated and their energy is just kind of low and they're not able to have the success that they want in their careers, in their lives. They're just not showing up as their most vibrant self because their ego's been getting in the way and they've been mired in this lower energy that has to do with righteousness and being judgmental towards others and towards ourselves. So you have to remember this when you're in a situation where you might be taking something personally. You have to remember that it's oftentimes your ego not wanting to feel like it's wrong, and it's your ego wanting to make the other person wrong and you right. And you can always make a case for that. There are times when people are communicating in ways that just aren't cool, right? So this isn't about not speaking up and telling people, hey, I'm sorry, but I don't really appreciate that. I don't agree with your point of view. I'm not going to accept that. And it also doesn't mean to not set boundaries and be like, you know what, I'm sorry, if you're going to keep communicating to me like that, I just can't maintain this friendship right now. Like, that's perfectly valid too. But that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you just have to own up to your part of it. Because what if there's a grain of truth in what they're saying? When I was reflecting on this situation with this friend of mine, as much as I hated to admit it, I realized, okay, so he's actually sharing some feedback about maybe a blind spot that I've got that I should take a look at. Maybe I don't need to accept all of, his point of view, but maybe like there's a grain here that's helpful that he's offering to me as a gift. In this case, I could realize, okay, maybe in this setting, I came on a little bit too strong in expressing my point of view. Maybe there'll be a better way for me to express myself while reading the room, sort of a thing. So it's there's layers to this. When we're taking something personally, there's different things going on, and we really do just want to remember that it's never going to be as simple as, I didn't like that, you're wrong, you shouldn't do that, I don't appreciate that, and blah 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 blah, you're not cool. That's not it. I mean, good luck living your life like this, right? Interacting with all these different people. Because the other thing is that we're all on these personal journeys. None of us are perfect ourselves included, and we want to be gracious. We want to allow space and forgiveness for people to have their own stuff that they're dealing with too. I was getting the sense with this other person that how I was sharing and expressing myself was making him feel uncomfortable, because maybe in my world it is good and healthy to express, what's on your heart, and try to, just get your point across about something, and doing so in a, fairly vulnerable way. Not everyone feels that way. We all have different beliefs and ideas, and maybe for him, his point of view is that you shouldn't do that, that's not okay. And who am I to tell him, that he's wrong? We all have these different ideas about what is right and what is wrong. Now, that also means that he could have been projecting his point of view onto me by communicating to me, hey, you shouldn't be doing that because I believe that that's wrong, and you should believe that that's wrong, and it's making me feel uncomfortable, and so I want you to stop it so that I don't feel uncomfortable anymore. That's kind of like, how it could be being enacted behind the scenes. Of course, that's not what he said, but what if I could interpret it like that in the moment? What if the next time something like this happens, I'm able to just sort of get a sense that, okay, so what you're really trying to tell me here isn't that, you're screwing up and I don't want you to do this. You're wrong and I don't like it when you're doing this. Maybe I could interpret it as, hey, I've got a thing about this and I want you to change your behavior so I don't have to feel that thing, because I got a trigger around, people showing up like this. I'm really going to do that next time, because that's far closer to the truth than my immediate reaction. The immediate reaction needs to be questioned, because the immediate reaction, that's that knee-jerk response that comes from a sensitive place, that comes from this idea of having these different triggers or insecurities, being not open to points of views that aren't fully supportive. Like, my ego, trust me, only wants praise and appreciation. I don't care for anyone telling me anything other than, Adam, you're awesome, keep going, love your shares, go for it. That's what my ego's looking for, and I'm scanning the environment for people to, give me some praise, and I'm like, yeah, this feels right. But that's not realistic, and I don't think that's healthy either. I shouldn't be basing my life and how I'm showing up just looking and expecting people to show up like this, right? This is where people pleasing comes into play a little bit too. I can't get everyone to like me. I can't go to an event and speak my mind and expect everybody to be like this. Yay, Adam, you're so great, awesome. You hear this a lot from public speakers. They'll tell you that don't expect to wow the whole audience. Everyone's going to have different opinions and points of views and backgrounds, etc. So half the people might be really happy about you, and half might, really want to say, boo, you stink. And you just don't have to take that personally. You just don't. Because, again, it's not about you. The people that are giving you the thumbs up, that are praising you for your amazing talk that you just gave, well, chances are they're seeing something in you that they like. It's a reflection of something in themselves that they like. You're expressing strong emotionality on a topic of great interest of yours. Well, they love you for doing that because they do that too, and they really like people who are like that. But the other half of the audience, they don't like that because you know, they don't agree with that. But you can't help how other people are, right? And in life, some people are gonna like you, and some people just aren't. So so that's it, guys. This is what I wanted to share with you about how to not take things personally. If you happen to be on a little more sensitive than other people, it's going to be that much more of a challenge, because when you do have greater sensitivities in life, you feel things more acutely. So, any kind of a comment could either make you feel really good or really bad. So just be careful with that. You also have to take ownership of your part. That's the biggest thing that I want to get across on this video today, is to take full ownership of your reaction, because people don't make us feel a certain way. People show up and they're being true and authentic to their selves. They're having a feeling, they're having an opinion, they're having a perspective, they're voicing that, right? And then you're receiving that and you're having a particular reaction or a response to it based upon your makeup, your history, your personality, so on and so forth. And that's what you have to take full ownership for. Because another person, they may show up, they may receive this same feedback from somebody else, and it'll bounce right off them because they happen to not have these qualities that would have them perceive it as a slight. So, yeah, so give that a try, guys. And any kind of a progress you make here is going to be huge, right? Like, imagine living your life where you're at an event, you're at a party, you're mingling, or you're just hanging out with friends, and somebody comes up to you and they share something, they share a point of view, and maybe it doesn't feel so good, but in the moment you're able to just kind of like roll with it a little bit, and then it doesn't upset you for the rest of the night. You can just kind of be like, oh, whatever, that's just John being John. He's, I know what he's like. And you can also inquire. Here's another strategy, which is to check in with them and say, hey, you just shared something with me that I'm noticing is giving me kind of an activation. I'm feeling a little bit frustrated by what you shared, because it just didn't land so good. Is there something that I'm missing? Because I'm not quite sure where you're coming from on this. Could you just help me understand your perspective a little bit? There are ways for you to maneuver here a little bit more effectively, and then see what they have to say. Then this will give you a chance to see more clearly that this doesn't have anything to do with you specifically. They could say something like, oh, you know what? It's because, when growing up, I was around people who were just always sharing their emotions so freely, and it was just really hard for me. And to be honest, when I heard you sharing like that, it just kind of like made me feel a little bit uncomfortable. So yeah, so that's probably why I said that. That's the best case scenario. If you guys can just have a nice little chat about it, and you can speak up, speak your truth in the moment, not coming from a place of emotionality or anger or frustration, but sincere desire to advocate for yourself and hear the other person out and say, hey, listen, am I missing something? Because I just wasn't sure why you made that remark because it didn't feel so good. And I know I have to be careful because I can be sensitive to things that I might perceive as criticism. But, was that a criticism or, is there more to the story that I'm not fully appreciating here? I wish I'd done that the other night, but um, I didn't think to do it. So try it out, guys, and leave me a comment about any experiences that you've had in taking things personally, anything that you've done that has allowed you to not take things so personally, and any other experiences that you might have had. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you want to get more access to free content on how to thrive as a highly sensitive person. And if you're interested in learning more about my coaching services, if you're feeling stuck or frustrated in your career and you'd like to determine your ideal career path, go ahead and visit adamhardt.com. Thank you so much for watching.